We're joined now by our political editor, Chris Schulman, who's been watching all the fireworks in Parliament House. Chris, another momentous day in federal politics. What next?
Well, that's hard to say, Tony. What we know of what's happening to Godwin Gretsch is that the police have investigated him today. We do know that the police believe that inside Treasury that email was concocted, that it was sent to Godwin Gretsch's home address, that they have examined that forensically. And they do say that it will be alleged that the interview is consistent with preliminary forensic advice. So that would suggest that with Mr Gretsch, at least, or other people around that, there may be charges laid. So that's obviously something that we'll watch over the next couple of days. The other question, of course, is what happens with Malcolm Turnbull. And there are people on his own backbench this evening mumbling that he has taken what should have been a very good day and turned it into a very bad day.
Yeah, how serious is that? And are you finding backbenchers or frontbenchers even talking about Malcolm Turnbull overreaching himself here?
That's absolutely what they're saying at the moment, Tony. They're talking about his intemperance, his impatience and his political naivety. If you take this back to that midwinter ball, that now infamous midwinter ball, and Malcolm Turnbull hasn't denied that he spoke with Andrew Charlton, who is the man at the centre of much of this. The email that was concocted was allegedly sent from him, and he offers him, he says, some friendly advice. People are saying, why would you do that? Why would the Leader of the Opposition flag what's going to be coming in the next week so that the government knows what's going to be happening? And then on the Friday after it, this explosive, there are a whole series of emails, the explosive evidence is given, and then almost immediately Malcolm Turnbull steps up and turns the volume from 1 to 11, asking the Prime Minister to explain himself and resign over this email, which is at that stage still very much in question. It was the one point on which Godwin Gretsch, during his testimony, said, well, his recollection might be faulty. So people are wondering why the opposition leader has played it in this way and has taken a lot of the heat, they believe, off the Treasurer. They do believe that he has a case to answer, but that Malcolm Turnbull's helped to obscure that.
Well, obviously, Liberal caucus concerned about the way Malcolm Turnbull's handled this. What about Labor caucus concerned about Wayne Swan's involvement in this whole affair? Is there any?
I think that people were more concerned on Friday than they are today, and as was mentioned in the report earlier, now there's another welter of emails that's been delivered to us this evening by the Treasurer's office, which show things that we already know. We do know that the Treasurer has said that there was a lot of the being done for car dealers around Australia as car finance collapsed and the government was trying to step up to fill that void. There are questions, though, I think, that still do stand for the Treasurer, because if you take you back to February, and there's a meeting between Godwin Gretsch and the head of Ford Credit, again, which nobody does deny took place. And at that, Ford Credit was seeking $550 million by way of guarantee from the government. So Ford Credit's clearly had something to be gained at that stage, they thought, a beneficial relationship with government. And at that stage, the name of John Grant is mentioned to Ford Credit, and we do know from that too that there were others that were mentioned, but it's the name of John Grant that appears in the Friday before in an email to the Treasurer, alerting the Treasurer himself that this will be raised in the meeting on Monday. It's raised in the meeting on Monday, and the email that comes back from Godwin Gretsch says, as promised, I have raised the case there. So you don't have to ask whether or not anyone in the end did receive something beneficial. Was it in their minds that they would get a benefit from this? Those, I think, are still open questions. But as I say, Tony, still very much obscured by the way that this has been conducted. And I doubt Wayne Swan may still have some uneasy moments, but I think most of the uneasy moments from now on probably are with Malcolm Turnbull.
Right, very briefly, it was already a bad day for Malcolm Turnbull, and then what happens late in the day, he's got some of his own troops crossing the floor on the Alco-Pops legislation.
That's right, 4 in the lower house, because now it's been decided by the coalition that they're not going to put up a fight on Alco-Pops anymore. They said for ages, of course, that they were standing on principle, and now it seems that they have rolled over essentially on politics. They don't want a double dissolution trigger.
Chris Schulman, we thank you very much for joining us tonight, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Tony.